Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Hello and herzlich willkommen zum Auf die Fresse, the WXW review podcast in English. I'm Ian Hamilton, joined once again by Matt Kilby, and we missed all of July, but how's things?
Doing good. It's cooled down a bit now. Well, it's heating up in WXW, but it's cooled down a little bit, at least geographically, weather-wise.
40 degrees 2 weeks ago, no thank you, but yeah, quite a few shows missed while being out, and a little bit of news, so may as well dive into Footed Like Really Bad Football Tackle and get going. So,
like Obendorf against England. Sorry.
Well, I know some people will thank us for not touching Sunday's final, but
yeah,
how many 60-odd years of hurt, wasn't it?
Yeah, something like
that. It feels like every single one. But anyway, WXW's Wrestling Academy no longer in Essen. This has been something we talked about for months in advance. The Last in a Circle in March at Carrot. I was advertised for the final one. They did the last Academy show in the start of July. They've torn down the training school in Essen, so at least the stuff inside. The signs being peeled off the doors, the rings being torn down, everything's been boxed up and moved. But now in Alma Park in Gelsenkirchen, and WXW, Leon St. Giovanni, Robert Dreisker posted photos, videos, and it looks like, I don't know how much old Ring of Honor you saw, Mike. The old
absolutely zero.
The first one show I went to in 2004 was a place called the Rexplex. It's like a massive entertainment leisure complex, like indoor 5-a-side pitches, skateboard, like skate parks and what have you. Same kind of thing by the look of it. It's all like one great big indoor sports park. You got MMA training stuff. WXW's got a room, there's been stuff posted of them doing training there, so pretty spacious. By the look of it, it's a bit like the venue Passion Pro use, the 4 gyms.
Yeah.
I know I've butchered that, sorry guys. But brings the bottom end of the room, the seating behind. So I guess, gone be days where we're all standing around the ring at the Academy, at least in that configuration. But yeah, a bit of a positive move, if not, farewell to a lot of history in Essen.
Yeah, it was quite sad sort of seeing the old Academy begin to be torn apart. Well, not torn apart, but the taking down the sign, taking down all the posters gradually. I know they had that bit of a garage sale thing. I don't know anybody who went, if they only got any lovely bargains. I'd love to sort of see them, whatever people got. But yeah, it was very sad to sort of see that go. But I'm very excited to see what comes of the new venue. And because it's a multi-use venue, and I'm very interested to see how that works as a sort of viewing place, because it's not really a viewing venue, is it? They're gonna have like sort of banks of seating, we understand, and also from what I understand, they are going to bring back standing at these events. Is that correct? That's what I remember. That's what I remember reading about.
I know the first show they've got, obviously, this weekend. They're doing a Fight Forever taping in Gelsenkirchen. Got a few matches we'll touch on later.
Yeah.
But yeah, it does look like at least
they've sort of said this is like old WXW. That's what they've kind of said.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Interested to buy like some of the other facilities within the venue. It does make you wonder, like, if they could do like a faux ambition super fight thing in the cage at like a inner circle.
That wouldn't surprise me. I mean, or even if they, obviously the Fight Forever stuff's like a taping, and they did a Fight Forever, I guess, preview match taped at Dead End. Alex Kane and Ilya Bloom. Ahmed Damasi on commentary was saying, it's kind of going to be like a proving ground kind of thing. So it'll be the academy trainees against folks on the main roster. So it's not going to be, I guess,
Well, you might get the odd throwaway thing, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, what means you're not going to get a lot like you had with the old academy shows where it was trainee v trainee.
Yeah.
Kind of like, the New Japan Young Lions of contenders and Rev Pro kind of thing. So you're going to get a lot of, hey, is Jacob Crane ready to step up? Is Danny Frey ready? Anywhere near? You can see progression match way rather than an endless series of matches against each other.
Yeah, exactly. And I think this was it's kind of this is where we would have. I think we're maybe smarting a little bit from the loss of Oscar, because it would have been great to see Oscar having a good few like big matches. Let me use that, but getting a few wins in the column from the Fight Forever shows. But it's incredibly exciting. It's a good opportunity. I'm always a big fan of. Well, if it goes somewhat to being a little bit like what the sort of random tour matches they'd throw on Shotgun were like, then that's good for me, really.
And again, we don't know what else we're going to throw in. I kind of guess, again, I don't know any better here. The Kane Bloom match, was advertised the Fight Forever taping. I don't know if the plan was to drop that in and then realized, yeah, this is going to look so obvious. Let's just throw this out as like a warm-up thing. Because that whole video on YouTube was literally much like 6 minutes, and for about 90% of it was that ticker tape on advertising upcoming shows, which, hey, it's on YouTube, it's going to get visibility, you may as well do it.
Yeah. It makes me wonder as well, are the other Fight Forever shows going to be, here's a match every couple of days, or is it going to be, a 45-minute show that's going to go up on YouTube, and there's going to be 3 of them, taping blocking? That's the question I've kind of got, is how much is going to be, how much is going to be going up at the same time? I think they could be in a bit of trouble if they drip feed one match at a time, because I think we can. Admittedly, they were backed against the wall, but we can all remember Catch Grand Prix, the first one, how there were some of them matches must have been in double digits, the amount of people watching it, thankfully.
Yeah, so, I remember. I was one of the few who probably was watching every day when I dropped at 7 p.m. And nothing against anybody in return, but compared to one show a week, it's the kind of thing when you see the run times, like, 10 minutes. Okay, someone went really short, and I'm not complaining, but when you do that, 5-6 nights a week. But yeah, we haven't said much about what Fight Forever is. We have announced some of the matches and what have you, but it'll be very interesting to see what we're going to do with it. If it's going to be just a show, if we're going to try and do like vignettes, interviews, kind of like what the original Dark Elevation was for AEW, was spotlighting folks.
Sorry to ask a very ignorant question. Do we actually have a date when it will be launching, or is it just when the taping is?
No, the only thing on the books right now is for taping Sunday, August 7th. We've got a few matches on the roster. Nothing yet, unless I've missed about when it's going to go live.
Something comes out while we're recording.
Weird things have happened, but so we'll keep an eye on that. But something else, I guess, vaguely newsworthy, I guess. So Tesla Young put out a post on Basecamp.com. I've never heard of it. I guess it's kind of like Medium in terms of like long form stuff. No rotation.
This looks like WordPress, really, to me.
So
it looks a bit like Blogspot, sort of thing.
Yeah, so I guess kind of like a blog without fully signing up for one, I guess. But it was a little bit of interesting read. So this is translate. So maybe stuff lost to the demons of Google. Is everything good again after Corona? It was Taz talking about the issues promoters of all sizes have experienced, as things have dialed up now after COVID. Journey's got this weird role, this weird spot where it just feels like everyone is touring at the same time. Large festivals back, you've got likes of Rammstein touring the first time in ages. And then you've got the perfect storm, they call it, but we're all feeling rising gas prices, rising electric prices, cost of living, that's in the news pretty much every day. So you've got this weird mix of there's more competition than ever for
The same piece of money.
Your entertainment dollar, if you want to call it that, something more it's used to. But yeah, and there's one thing I noticed and that was really interesting is specifically for WXW. Saying if it'd been WXW on the Reaper Bar with 400 seats and Unlimited Wrestling with a show on, actually pronounced Farley, with 250 seats in the summer 2019, then both would have sold out weeks in advance and could probably have halls with up to half as much more capacity loosely filled. 2022, neither sold out, so of course, WXW did Dead End in the Grungespan in Reeperbahn, Hamburg, a couple of weeks ago. They're quite openly saying that didn't sell out. Unlimited, I know we don't talk about them, but they ran and seemed to be somewhat sparse. Looking on WXW, they're saying 330 in the Grungespan, so pretty close. But the one thing that TAS called out was it's local fans not going. So you've got, I'm not going to name names just for sake, perhaps, but, we know people who travel from all ends of Germany to these shows. They still went, but folks who are somewhat more local to Hamburg didn't.
Yeah.
So, is it that you've got the locals who are going, you'll be back again in 6 months, I'm going to see whoever, but for ones who are, I would say hardcore, but you've got folks who would travel more, make it an event, doing that, opposed to folks like, to drop it comparison, we've got a smaller wrestling promotion literally 3 miles down the road from us. Every single show they have has clashed with another show that we've had a ticket for.
Yeah,
we've not gone. If you want to compare even further to over here, like we've known promotions near us. Fight Nation, they shut their doors because of crowd numbers. Good Wrestling also Milton Keynes have cancelled a bunch of shows because of attendances. I think Wrestling Resurgence dialed down on a few shows as well because of ticket sales. So it's not just specific to Germany. Every promotion's kind of having this, and yeah, it's that kind of thing of if you're running big shows, what you'd thought would be the easy local market seemingly isn't so much these days.
Yeah, I think I think it's kind of indicative of kind of the wider scene in Europe anyway, really. We obviously don't hear about smaller promotions in, Hungary or smaller promotions in France, for example. We obviously see the big ones, but at least sort of from my perspective, I can see the down. Admittedly, for example, for RevPro, at least on the 229 shows, which is a bigger venue than they used to run, so they are probably actually getting a net larger crowd. The crowd numbers are nowhere near what they were. It's not standing room only anymore. It's quite comfortable. You've got enough space for everything and your bag.
Thanks, Mike.
Exactly. But yeah, so with that respect, I think he is right. It's interesting to it's good to get an insight into sort of the trends, especially, but it's true, everybody's competing for the same money because effectively there's 3 years worth of touring for all basically mediums.
Yep.
That haven't been done.
And one of the X factor as well, and TAS also touched on that. COVID hasn't gone away. The numbers are still bubbling away. I know last week you said the peak in the UK just started to die down again. And if you're looking for shows like October, November, December time, that's typically when most bubble up. So you can have some people who will be, if I'm going to go in the summer where it's going to be outdoors. It's not going to be everyone indoors, potentially crammed together. But yeah, it's definitely something worth bearing in mind, especially if everything that's going on does mix up together.
Yeah, and even to a sort of macro level, you got things like people might not be able to afford, your hotels because I know, for example, I'm already booked, but for the hotel I usually use in Oberhausen, across the road is the König Pilsner Arena, and they are booked out pretty much as well. And they've there's a massive heavy metal band playing there on Tagfest weekend, and it's like, well, if you're a heavy metal fan who also likes WXW, you have to make a decision, don't you?
Yeah, Machine Head or Rotten Flot.
Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of like you have to make that decision. So, I say I know people sort of in the comedy sort of circle. You know, I know people who haven't been able to book. Basically, you're phoning up venues to get bookings or for open not mic things, and yeah, you can get something in 3 years' time. Not now.
Yep.
Because everything's been pushed back and back and back. So it's
And we touched no top of 2 to 9 a few minutes ago. Someone shared me a post of the guy who's like a booking agent there. He's quit because just saying the whole industry, the whole atmosphere has just become really unpleasant. You've got people, bookings being cancelled. People are now massively out of pocket, and prevent folks who are maybe familiar with the UK, same with 2 to 9s, mixed standing seating for wrestling, hold by what 200 so. Would you say 250?
250, yeah, probably.
No, but that's with a massive ring in the middle of the room. It's got a stage, so if there's no music there, be standing room probably at least double that.
Yeah,
and they're saying we're lucky to break even sometimes. So
yeah.
But anyway, so that's something worth keeping an eye on, especially like for the big tag festival, Coward Weekenders. Another thing Tass mentioned was we're all feeling the pinch like petrol and energy prices. Was he saying about flights from Hungary were 50 euros, now looking about 200, 250?
Precisely.
So if you're wondering why you're not getting the hours of Hungary, why you're not getting Peter Tahani or she on the show, the weekends of one show, there you go. It doesn't make economical sense, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's not a tank of fuel anymore. It's 2 tanks of fuel.
Yeah. Exactly. So anyway, enough of the doom and gloom, because all living through it so much. But we've got, 4 shows? I'm not going to talk about the Academy show that went on YouTube for free in piecemeal, but do start off quickly with Wheel of Wrestling 34 from last month. This one's gone on the network. It shows how long we've been offline.
Yeah, we're actually less punctual than the WWE network at this point. It's pretty bad, isn't it?
Well, at least we're talking about a match that isn't on the network, but just run through this quick. So Maggot beat Sebastian Suave in 10 minutes to retain the shotgun title. Michael Knight beat Hector Invictus, was a quick 5-minute one. Jörn and Levaniel beat Michael Schenkenberg and Tristan Archer. Baby Allison submitted Eva Klasky to retain the women's title. Psycho Mike submitted Jacob Crane by body slam, which that's
a unique one.
Crane's gimmick. Because the Academy show the next day, there were people trolling him about that.
Yeah. So
if people have good memories, that's going to be one thing which he's going to not live down. Masha Slamovich pinned Orshi. So Orshi's in Femme Fatale. She won that surprise benefit scramble at Broken Rules. Masha pinned her. She's gotten into Femme Fatale as well on the back of that. And I would not be surprised if that's the final, at least based on the admittedly 2 entrants we know so far.
Yeah.
At least you've got the basic bones of storyline there. But main event, Robert Dreisker, Lawrence Roman, Dover, Icarus, Amboss pinned Ilya Bloom, Jonathan Gresham, rotation, Peter Tahani, the debut match of sorts for Amboss as a unit. Pretty good, but unfortunately did not go onto the network, from my understand.
Yeah, it was a pretty decent match, but obviously for obvious reasons, Gresham's appearance made it somewhat impossible to go on the network by their viewpoint. So by WWE's viewpoint. So it was so it's kind of cut. It's cut Amboss off at the ankles kind of already. But unfortunately, it's
at least they had clip shows. It's not like it's been to use a bad analogy, it's not like with Benoit amount of history and it's all of a sudden you miss 2 shows and hey, he's Amboss running roughshod. What? Exactly. So after that, Fight for Paris 2. So this was originally scheduled for January, rescheduled to last month. It was a one-night tournament gimmick with a few twists and turns. Again, blast for these because a lot of these will be guys who potentially won't know if you just watched WXW. Cure the Kid beat Levaniel to qualify. Idle Blanc and Robert Dreisker went to a double count out. They both qualified by way of that. Tristan Archer beat Christianium Laceriliste by DQ to retain the WXW title. was a weird pre-record. What's the guy's name? The APC general manager, basically telling Archer if you win, you get in the finals.
Slips my mind now.
Maggott beat Thiago Monteiro in another semi-final. Jörn Simmons beat Rick Salem in another semi-final. We had Joseph Fenech Jr., who I swear looks very similar, but yeah, we'll not touch about that sensation. And Mecca beat R1 in A-Book, which, I mean, that's for one non
tournament
match of the night. What do you think? I mean, okay, we may have seen one of them before, more regularly, but for 9 minutes, I thought we did a fair amount, those four lads.
Yeah, it was a bit of a showcase thing, and I think the issue with it is that it was on. I think the Fight for Paris shows that they're decent watches, but they're almost like C shows to the point where, because they're not WXW ones, I think they're very skippable.
Yeah.
So I think that it's and they obviously exist in their own universe because of Joseph Fenech Jr. being in this rather than somebody else who wears a mask. But with that in mind, I thought they did get a sort of a lot of stuff in that 9 minutes. I mean, it was interesting, different, something a little bit different to what we're normally expecting from. So it's always exciting seeing new people, really.
Yeah. And guess what? Fell over Calypso pinned Baby Allison in just over 5 minutes, which
was a surprise.
Yeah. So I twigged the last Fight for Power show. She wrestled a Marlon and had a tooth knocked out. This is that whole visual of her, bloody mouth after the end. Calypso wins this one. She ends up after the show calling for a title shot, which is going to get this weekend at Shortcut to the Top. So for those who've watched this show, you've got something that pays off. And Fight for Power 2 final. Tristan Archer beat Kuro, Robert Dreisker, Jörn Simmons, Igor Blanc, and Maggott. Just over 12 minutes was elimination final. For me, I am not a fan of elimination finals unless they go somewhat long. This one was just boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
Nothing really settled for me, but it was an okay show. I wouldn't say it was an essential because there are some bits they did try and weave into future shows, but if you've missed it, there's nothing really bad to say you need to jump back for and really see, I guess.
Yeah, it was, as I say, they're interesting sort of shows on within themselves, but they're kind of a little bit non-canon, really, because I just don't really think they have very much relevance to the rest of the promotion, really.
So we'll go to Frankfurt for the Batch Cup for Wheel of Wrestling 35. Ahura, in his return match, pinned Norman Harris in 11 minutes. So the storyline from Wheel of Wrestling 34, which we kind of spoiled last time and completely skipped over here. Ahura was brought back as the sexy return. I think Norman was filling it. Pulled a switch through his contract, and Norman never said who the return match was meant to be, but Ahura booked himself in his return match to be a number one contenders match for the main title. And they did play up, I think, the hype video, the background between these two. So who had taken the shotgun title off of Norman Harris back in the Steffi days, or who still got a rather shiny shotgun title, mind.
Yeah, he's got one of them ones from
FL Wrestling.
Yeah, he's got one of them ones in the shop.
And we're playing up that he didn't lose the belt, so you've got two shotgun champions. I'm just going to say this now: Tag League, Tag Festival. That's going to be one of your main events.
Or Maggott versus Ahura. Yeah, that would be a good one. I was wondering when they would be doing it, but kind of there's no indication of it being the next show. So I actually probably think that will be a good one.
Do the Sean and Ray's Ramon thing. You've got the dodgy belt, you've got the real belts.
Yeah. It does make you wonder whether the shotgun title continues to exist. Maybe does it change its name? I don't know. Well, there's no indication that's going to happen, but I suppose you have a undisputed shotgun champion. I suppose you do, but I don't know.
Yeah. Again, the fact we've got two belts around and they haven't addressed, overly addressed, tells you that these things happen for a reason. It's not WWE don't drop things out and throw it out there and it goes nowhere. So the fact that they've had him come back with a belt, it was addressed in a promo.
The backstage thing.
Yeah, so it's been done for a reason, and the logical one would tell you it's unification at some point, whether it's Tag Festival or they drag it down to Carrot. But so Levaniel over Hector Invictus in 8 minutes. Now, I remember when this came out, I think you watched these a few days after me. The Wrong Man totally won in this one. I know the storylines Hector's kind of on an island because Dennis Dolnick's out. Hector looked freaking phenomenal in this match.
Hector is becoming my star of the summer so far. I think every single match he's had every match he's had in the last the last 3 shows, he's just brilliant. I can't really say much more than that.
That's just it.
Yeah, I think he's bombastic when he needs to be. He's I think he's got with the presence of him sort of just physically is imposing. I think he can have he's got a very convincing sort of demeanor about him. The fact that he was sort of laughing at Levaniel during the beginning. Yeah, I think he's been absolutely brilliant this past month or so. So yeah, completely the wrong person won it, but at the same time, I suppose there's reasons for that.
Move on. Becca pinned Orshi in just over 8 minutes. Becca won with a Shining Wizard and later kick out, afterwards she bragged, "I won this without my finisher," and got title shots. So yeah,
that's the thing.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily have pinned Orshi, but again, it's a whole thing of the women's roster in WWE is pretty slim the best of times. And again, if you'd brought in somebody else who's barely used, it would have given away the finish either way. So
I suppose the issue is, sorry.
Yeah, and set up a dead end as well for the following week. So again, short-term storyline, you can't really complain too much.
I think the issue is that Orshi is, I think, seen as probably a one for the future, and I suppose you can't have a winning immediately, because if you have a winning, she's eventually just going to hit a ceiling, and the ceiling's Baby Allison. And I think you kind of need to build to that. I think if they play their cards right, they've got Killer Kelly number 2 effectively, and they may be able to keep hold of this one. For me, it's you just it was a bit of an odd decision, sort of Becca going over, but I kind of get it if you kind of look at it from that perspective of you kind of can't have a winning straight away anyway.
And again, I think the way the roster is, where you don't want is having a title mix straight away, because I say limited number of the roster, you can if you keep doing that and keep cycling around to title shot every few months, it gets stale quick, and you're building for the future. Like you say, you've got to do the best you can to keep away from that part of the roadmap, I guess. But
yeah,
match wasn't too bad, but they have a storyline to build to that. Dover, Icarus, and Robert Dreisker pinned Peter Tahani, Ilya Bloom, and LSG just in the fourth hour. It wasn't too bad. Trios matches, are hard to screw up. They had 2 really good ones in the show, and this is one of them.
Yeah, the trios were good on this one. I thought I didn't like this one as much as the main, but I think there's obviously a bit more star power in the main. Yeah. I think Bloom is very exciting. Bloom as a wrestler, and I think LSG, I think as well, in these last 2 shows, with the one we'll go on to in a minute, I thought he's a brilliant addition to the roster. Love him to stick around.
And he's back in America later into short term. I mean, he was over. Was it 2018? I think.
Well, he was over for Tag Fest, as they were they were there. They were there, but they were probably unofficially the alternate, but they never really got in there.
And also, Shaheem Ali, Coast to Coast, they did like the spot shows and all that. And I think
they did challenge for the title, didn't they, at one point?
In
the lead up.
We will need to look because I know. So when I
Yeah.
did Hamburg in 2018, they were on the cards.
Yes. Yeah,
Um,
I was there as well.
yeah, Dead End. Was it Dead End?
No, it
Not
was Fan
Dead End.
Appreciation Night.
I'm now desperately trying to figure out where the heck it was. But it wasn't Hamburg because I was very for sure where Absolute Andy completely drained Dilly with a chair.
Yes.
Because that chair fell right by my foot. Oh yeah, so it was coast to coast against Even Kiev and Pete Bouncer.
Yeah.
So there's that show. I think we probably would have had a tag title shot somewhere around there.
Yeah.
Says not looking through to oh yeah, a freeway at Broken Rules against the Arrows and coast to
That was it.
coast against JFK in
That was it.
Dresden. So yeah, week before, in fact. So yeah, it wasn't. But again, I think with LSG, obviously he left Ring of Honor when match went down. He's doing a fair amount of Northeast. Shaheem Ali, coast to coast, from what I can tell, haven't tagged since 2019.
Yeah, that's probably a thing that's gone now, isn't it?
I mean, Ali's still going. Well, I say that he's not had a match nearly a year called the cage match. So LSG obviously still is, and he's doing the dare say the old Alexander James thing of coaching and wrestling. And that's what
Yes.
seems want to do is have guys who can coach and wrestle. Earn your paycheck, lads.
Exactly. Yeah, but there's an element of you want to. They probably it's an advantage because they can probably when you're teaching people over here, you probably you're also soaking new things up as well. So it's yeah.
And if only having wrestling, I mean, the match was 15 minutes. It's a trios match. We probably only had 2-3 of those. Whereas if you're actually training against, you work with more people, you're learning and you're absorbing as well. And you get every days out in Essen as well. So
exactly.
Had a shotgun title defense, Magda Vincent Heisenberg with Baby Allison's special ref. 15-minute time drawn. This was just one great big storyline. So the story going in was Norman Harris was just pissed off with is it the Frankfurt show? Baby Allison slapped him. So that's why we got Becker and Allison in Frankfurt. So Becker and Orshi in Frankfurt, I should say. And here it was, we're going to put the rest of that group against each other. They originally tried to do a double count out. Norman threatened to strip them, all of them of the titles. They then had a match with Heisenberg actually, going some in it. And then at the end, Baby Allison talked them into just sitting down the final few minutes. And yeah, not much to say.
Brings out Harris, and then Harris gets a slap for his trouble again.
I have a feeling this is the start of them planting the seeds for Shotgun unification.
Yeah, I think so.
Norman brought back Ahura. He's been messed around with the real Shotgun champion.
Yeah.
It's a slow burner, but that seems to me where they're heading. But the main event, another trios match, Michael Knight, Jörn Simmons and Bobby Guns over Nikita Krizma, Mikhail Schenkenberg and Tristan Archer. Absolutely phenomenal trios match. And in fact, you're building up 2 matches in one for this and arguably 2 of the main events.
Booking 101, that is really that match.
Yeah.
It's
hard to mess up trios matches, and if you're doing this to build up matches rather than just you and you against you and you, all the better for it.
Exactly. You put the two Hill champion, the Hill tag team champions and the Hill champion against the face challengers. It's like Booking 101. It's like they did it at they did something similar at Carrot 18. You put Guns and Bones versus Walter and Speedball. And it was brilliant, that match. It's just easy booking, and it's just always a success as long as everyone's up for it, and they certainly were in this one. I think it was the best match of the loop in general, really.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's not knocking the rest of them, but this for one, it built them. I think we'll see a Dead End. Some of the stuff maybe didn't land, but my sensibilities on this. But move on to Dead End from the Grungebahn Hamburg. All I'll say is that venue, it may be a little bit too small for the way they shoot things, but a perfect venue for a spot show if the Marketals run around.
Yeah, I don't like it as much as the Marktal for sure. But yeah, I think it looked great, especially the way it was sort of lit and dressed. Very similar to they did a venue similar in Dresden. I think they occasionally. I'm trying to think. The one in Dresden's very similar with the balcony around the top of it. It's not the one that they run last time, but I can't think of the name of it. It will come to me eventually. But yeah, it's a great looking. I think the way they shoot it, anyway.
Let's go through the card quickly. So we had Axel Tischer over LSG, just under 12 minutes. Yes, I think that one was originally meant to be Cara Noir against Axel Tischer. Cara was injured his ankle, so he missed progress. He missed these. He's out of shot for top this weekend. So again, reshuffled card. I don't think LSG was ever in any danger of winning, but wasn't like a rollover either. But yeah, pretty good showing for Tischer and LSG. And yeah, they still have a Cara Noir match to do when he's fully fit.
Yeah, precisely.
Baby Allison, yeah.
So I was going to say the whole Cara Noir nonsense in progress isn't being affected out here by the looks of it either.
They have mentioned it, but that
doesn't seem to be.
Yeah, literally along the lines of, you have to go to other countries because that progress paying you well, you're nothing, which it's a choice, but certainly Baby Allison submitted to Becca in just over 7 minutes to retain the women's title. Fine for what it is, but again, we keep saying the women's roster in particular is fairly light. I'm hoping with Femme Fatales next month and month after next, sorry, you can have some of the folks staying over, maybe getting some title matches or just non-title stuff against us, so it's more than the same names on a loop. But yeah, fine for what it was.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was a fairly meat and potatoes performance from Allison. It was, I think, she's only getting better, I think, with every performance, and I think she just needs more and more of these sort of matches, really.
Yeah. And again, I don't want to say, nobody thought that Beck would win. I mean, we had Ava Everett early this year had a brief run of the title, so I think even that wasn't off the table. But so matchup next that had some implications for Tag Festival. Nikita Charisma and Mikhail Schenkenberg against Bobby Guns and Michael Knight. Losing team excluded from Tag Festival. Winners obviously tag titles on the line. I'm just going to bundle this in with the match afterwards. Robert Dreisker, Lawrence Roman,
go for it.
Michael Blanc. This is probably my sensibilities with tag matches. I absolutely hate tag matches that get so cute like this. Like you had, especially, I mean, these were back to back on the VOD at least, but you had the tag title match had a non-finish where Charisma submitted, but he wasn't the legal man. So we restart the match and Rotten Flot win for low blow, referee misses. So Rotten Flot win with belts. They're in Tag Festival. Only Friends aren't in Tag Festival.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if that means they are going to go their separate ways for time being or what, but
they did exit on separate sides of the stage.
Yes, and again, bad ain't a mistake.
Yeah. Well, it could have been.
Well,
yeah,
the fact they edged,
yeah,
they could have faded away before they walked off, I guess. But so we did that, and then the Amboss Senza Idol match. They did a few things. Was like, sticking tags. Now, remember the first Shotgun 2020? Dreisker was the, I don't want to say bitter because that's something, the curmudgeon veteran who, doesn't really like the way the modern scene's going. Some of that's going through Van Boss.
Yeah.
Why in God's name are you doing stuff where you're tagging? There's a key moment in the match where Roman was being tagged as he went through the ropes, called as a tag, but then shown that was nowhere near. Didn't play into Finch, but just to me, it felt like you're being too cute of stuff like this. And if it means me watching is trying to, having to pause and rewind and see just who the hell is legal. Bear in mind, you just did a match where, you had
the same thing happen.
Yeah. I mean,
and also you kind of think, well, Dreisker himself would have been pissed off at that happening a year and a half ago. Is he not pissed off now he's in Amboss?
I mean, this is probably me overthinking things, but you weren't and going back to Ref, you went to the Ref Pro show last month.
No.
We've had Sunshine Machine and Velocities. Half-hour draw, and it's one of these. Velocities just need to not lose to get to Tag League finals. They did make off a draw, but it's like they did a lot of stuff like that. Was kind of being cute, tag on the floor. It's like I don't want to turn to Jim Cornette, especially on that part of them, but it's just you have the tag rules, and you have tag matches where you have refs like Taz. Another had was this Alex Schneider, a new referee, was doing the tag match thing, which bears you out for the whole wrong guy submitting, the illegal man submitting because he's new and not familiar. But you're doing your referees no favors when you're constantly doing stuff like this, and
especially as when WXW as a promotion has outlined itself as a promotion that is aware that tag rules are being broken elsewhere.
Yeah.
By the whole fact that there was a whole thing where Dreisker basically spent better part of 6 months telling off Heisenberg and Marek about it. So yeah, so it's kind of like
those vignettes with the old academy. Dreisker tagged Heisenberg tagged in, and Dreisker refused to even acknowledge it. Why? You weren't holding the rope.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping. I'm not saying this. WXW is going to go under, but it's like, to me, I just couldn't. And this pretty hefty chunk of the show as well. I just couldn't get on those two matches just because it was just. Never mind, back to back was just a lot of stuff that they would normally be more polished with, I guess you'd say.
Yeah. If it's a case of they don't care now they're bad guys, then fair enough. If it was a mistake, it was a mistake. Then whatever. But I don't know. Yeah, I completely agree with that.
So I'll have results up. So Rotten Flutter in Tag League as tag champions, Only Friends out. The other match was a double count out. Dives to the outside. Nobody thought about getting back in the ring, and they brawled back afterwards. So that bleeds into Amboss against Senza, Idle Blanc, LSG, and about looking at the upcoming. Nope, I'm going to need to look for the upcoming. Peach Tahani 4-on-4 match shortcut. So we're keeping Amboss against 4 from WXW going, and hey, isn't there a cage match in 6 months usually?
Yeah. So you need a 4-man team, I suppose, for them, don't you? But who that is, we don't know.
So on for the final 2 matches.
3 years ago, I would have said Ringkamp.
Well, I mean, it's clear doing Tihani, Senza, Igel, those 3.
Yeah.
So whoever that 4th guy is.
Yeah.
Snow running anytime. Is Snow running that weekend?
Wow. Yeah. We'll go there.
We have plenty of time for that to happen. And who knows? Might be somebody else from underneath. Tristan Archer might see the light and decide to fend off Amboss. Who knows?
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of football to be played.
Just one game in. But so last 2 matches on Dead End, both title matches. So Maggot beat debut and Apu Singh in just under 8 minutes for the shotgun title. Thought Apu did pretty well for his debut. I know he's done like IPW and a lot of, say, low-level German indies, but he didn't look out of place. He quitted himself well, and I guess that's all you can ask for.
Yeah, you get the impression he was replacing LSG in this match. I think, it probably would have been LSG versus Maggot for the shotgun belt.
I think that was the original announcement, when they swapped them out. And
so, yeah, that's fair enough. Then this is when the lottery is a thing which should be back, because, you could have lottery picked Apu Singh out and everyone's like, oh, okay. Whereas in reality, you just had the person's music who nobody's ever heard and somebody who very few people would know.
Yeah.
There wasn't the element of surprise, especially when you see somebody as imposing as this Apu Singh guy. I think he did fine. Not eager to reach out his entire back catalogue, to be completely honest with you. But that's kind of a weakness of where you have no lottery again. But we've said this, go back to some of the older episodes.
1-6, but we do seem to hit the same notes. Main event, Tristan Archer beat Jörn Simmons in 20 minutes to retain the Unified World Wrestling title. Interviewing some Heisenberg, and if you remember past shows, Jörn had told Lavagna, don't interfere because Jörn lost for title
Yeah.
because of Levaniel's interference. So now Jörn can't challenge Tristan Archer for the belt again while Tristan's champion. It was a pretty good main event, but again, I think by that time, I think it was not using as an excuse for anything. I remember it's really warm in Hamburg, and I think when you get a main event that's 20 minutes like that, I think if I remember right, there were a few people like the gasps of disbelief when Jörn lost, but at the same time, I don't think there were too many who were like really biting that much.
Yeah, it would have been hot shotting it, I think, if he'd won it back again. They would. I think they did. They did make a point about it being sort of it would have been a record-breaking win for Simmons, because it would have been it would be the first person to get 4, wasn't it? 4 titles. So yeah, they did kind of make that. But yeah, it was. I think the problem is, I think sometimes this Archer really goes a little bit long. I don't necessarily know if he's got it in him really at the moment. He's good. Archer is obviously he's gone way up in my estimation, but I really don't know if he's got a 20-minute main event to bring the house down sort of in him at the moment. So they're all sort of ending in a bit of a crappy finishes. And it's a bit of a disappointment, but I suppose when you head towards Tagfest with a big title match, I think you could have, if you have sort of a big popular person winning Shortcut, which we'll go on to in a minute, obviously. If you have somebody popular winning Shortcut, you've got you've got potential for a really hot crowd, because I think a lot of people really don't like Archer. I think for good reason as well. So
it's not being booed just because he's the baddie.
Well, I think he is being booed because he's the baddie.
I mean, it's not just like a charitable. Oh, I have to boo you because the other guy's being cheated, therefore I have to boo you. He is doing stuff like a carrot for whole, antagonizing Levaniel and the stuff afterwards.
Yeah, exactly. And I think his promos are getting better and better.
Yeah.
I think it's there's a lot going for him, and I think you just have to. I think it was if it was, I couldn't have done another Simmons Archer match, to be honest. I just hope they don't immediately go back to Tish. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I would say, you touched on Levaniel, Jörn. This would have been his record-breaking 4th reign. I think really, if you are going to do that, you've kind of got to make a bigger deal of it.
Yeah, it was kind of mentioned in passing, and then it was kind of like, oh yeah, Joe, you're right there. It was kind of something that I think I hadn't really twigged, but then they kind of didn't say much more than just saying, oh yeah, well, he'll break the record.
Yeah, because it's just him and Walter with 3 title reigns.
Yeah.
Wow, Walter's last reign ended in 2015, which that feels like 2 lifetimes ago.
It's astonishing, really, that Walter for going a bit off track here, but Walter for I think the entirety of the European boom was seen as the figurehead of WXW, but he never had the belt.
Nope.
And he was only really in. He was only really in the title picture for 6 months. Because he wasn't. Yeah, he was only really in the title picture between January and March. Well, January and let's say the summer of 2018.
Yeah.
So it's kind of mad, really, when you think about it that way.
And yeah, just looking like the WXW title match, you weren't getting the same few people. Like you had like the 3 Ilya Walter matches, which spoiler alert, were really good. Some of spring of summer 2018. But yeah, they were going around. Various different people. It wasn't the same match ad nauseum like some promotions might, but yes, that was Dead End. I think the next WXW show they're doing in Hamburg is Dead End 2023 in Marktal. So, assuming World doesn't go to hell again, it's back to Marktal for Dead End, which is always a good sign. So yeah, that's the shows we've missed now. A couple upcoming. So this weekend on Saturday we're at Shortcut for Top, which pretty stacked card for really a show which could probably sell out and just be the self-titled match. But You've got Ahua against Tristan Archer for the unified title. I guess that's the semi-main. Calypso, as we said, beat against Baby Allison for the women's title. Amboss, so it's Dreisker, Dover, Icarus, and Lawrence Roman against LSG, Peach Tahani, Sense of Ultra, and Idle Blanc. Bobby Guns against Axel Tischer and then the shortcut to the top match. And they haven't said outright, but typically the winner of this gets the main event match. I guess it'll be Championship Sunday for Tag Festival, depending how it all pans out. Not going to ask for odds, but on the graphics so far, Nikita Charisma, Mikhail Schenkenberg, LSG, Jörn Simmons, Orshi, Axel Tischer, Paige Tahani, Vincent Heisenberg, Maggot, Hector Invictus, Michael Knight, Sense of Alto, Dover, Icarus, Lawrence Roman, Robert Dreisker, Fast Time Mudo, Igel Blanc, Lavaniel, and Bobby Guns. 20 for 30 announced. That's all they're going to announce. I expect some surprises. I know years come by, we've had Dirty Dragon was in a few years back. Want to remember?
Yeah, you had Thatcher in 2019. 2019, you had Thatcher and Star. You had Carsten Beck, obviously the big surprise win. Well, to be fair, you had Jörn Simmons come back as a surprise in last year. So
yeah, and won it. Mike Schwartz the year before.
Yeah, so there's always room for surprises. I think there's a handful of people who I've kind of got on my private ticket of who I think might come back, but I won't reveal those, obviously. But yeah, it's there's a lot of it's always an exciting thing. It for me, it sells the show anyway. So I don't. I think you just need to have a really, really strong winner, because I think they could struggle. I think they'd struggle if you have a Lavaniel winning it against, for example, Lavaniel versus Tristan Archer. I don't know if that sells me on the title night, the Sunday main event at Tagfest.
Yeah, and again, from the field of 20, for some reason I'm homing on Bobby Guns, just because of the whole only friends going with separate ways, at least after that match. Maybe I'm reading too much, and that's a red herring they've deliberately left for everyone to pick up on, but yeah, we'll see Saturday night.
Although actually, in a way, maybe Lavaniel does make sense for actually when I'm thinking about it. But yeah, there's a lot of options, and I'm looking at who also is in the show. Around that weekend, you've got your people like Endekara, who is on the following show. Some of the trainee guys, I'm sure they'll turn up, and say you might get the odd surprise. It's one or two surprises I'd really like, but who knows, really.
Let's see what Wrestling Santa brings us this weekend. Exactly. So August 7th, the next night, we debut the Fight Forever tapings. That's in the Alma Park Fight Club in Gelsenkirchen. So these are going to be recorded for Bilibili and YouTube. We've got a few more matches announced. Endekara against Bobby Guns, Jacob Crane, Michael Knight, Nick Schreier against Lavaniel, Danny Frey against Norman Harris, LSG and Ilya Bloom against Also Hungry, Orshi against Robert Dreisker again, and Alex Kane against Peach Tahani. Pretty decent.
You'd assume all of those are in Shortcut.
Alex,
at least most of them.
But yeah, Alex hasn't been announced for Shortcut.
You'd assume they would be, though, a lot of those.
Again,
I do.
Said before, this calling it like proving ground, so you're going to get a lot of trainee and main roster guys. So some decent matches, and you'd expect like that LSG Ilya Bloom match against the Arrows. That's got a great big storyline alert written all over it. That's going to be dovetailed into what's going on the quote unquote main roster.
Yeah, and that Orshi Dreisker one as well. That's probably going to be another one where you're going to have people running in for that one. The last Orshi Dreisker match was great. So
we've done one, I want to say, is it Leipzig? Like a non-televised show, but did another one in. So in fact, we've run this back. This will be the third time we've run this back in a matter of months. I know we've said it, but they clearly say something in Orshi. And
Well, Dreisker himself said in the interview that was on YouTube, which you'll have to search for because I can't remember who did it. Yeah, whoever. He did say basically, "Oh, she is female Oscar." So
it's just a shame, like on Facebook, because my Facebook automatically translates with German announcements. Every single time it comes up, bear.
Oh, for Orshi.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
It's I don't know if it's Google, Facebook grabbing what that word is and translates to something else, but every single time there's a few where it just doesn't look right.
Well, sometimes it translates Axel Tischer as Alex Carpenter, which is obviously the name I sometimes call him. Old Alex Carpenter. So
Orshi is Italian for bears, so
there we go.
that's where we're getting it. They're grabbing that word and instead of translating the whole paragraph, they're saying, "Oh, we know that word in this language. The rest must be German." Which, come on, Facebook, be smarter.
Keep an eye out. You'll see Alex Carpenter everywhere you look now. You'll see it all the time.
Badly translated indie posters. So after that, we've got WXW debuting in Sim City, the venue, not the game, in Vienna on September 23rd.
Yeah, not really. I think it's just going to be a fight for every sort of show. But
yeah, they're calling Wheel of Wrestling Live, so it doesn't look like it's going to be taped. Apparently, it's part of the Vienna Catch Fest, so I would almost say it's kind of like when we do the Dortmund Comic Con kind of shows.
Yeah, yeah. Not really sure what to make of it, really, but quite excited. It does look really good. I am actually considering going, so I've actually booked the time off to potentially go, so I might be going. I might be able to give you a live report. That'd be nice, wouldn't it?
And that's the only live show between this weekend and September's Inner Circle and obviously October's Tag Festival.
Yeah, I don't see anything else coming up.
I mean, we kind of expected something being announced, but clearly Vienna's going to be like a warm-up to the warm-up, so I guess next week or week after we'll be back for a shortcut review some point September Tag Festival once we know more teams, but we'll have written bits on backbodydrop.com for Tag Festival, both preview and travel stuff, since things this week Heath Rose put blocks on flights, so if you haven't got any flights and you're planning on going, get them booked as soon as, because
have a look at the Eurostar. Quite low.
Again, sorry?
Have a look at the Eurostar. It's actually not too bad. That would be my advice.
Which one's going to be more likely to go on strike? I think that's a game we're all playing right now. But so that's pretty much it. So shortcut for top fight ever this weekend, and then pretty much 2 months off. So we'll see what we can do to plug the gaps. But I guess from you, Mike, football's back. It came home, and you're going away. So anything for you to plug?
So with the new episode of the Groundhoppers Guide went up last week. That was the sort of the start of the new season where we take a look at a lot of the pre-season stuff. So that's up on YouTube. It's the Groundhoppers Guide on the Arn and Eddie channel. It's back to sort of business with that. But yeah, I'll also be back to the cockpit, back to the 229 this weekend, hopefully as well. So my first wrestling show in about 2 or 3 months, which is quite troubling.
Last one would have been Stevenish, wasn't it?
What's that?
Last one would have been Stevenish.
It would have been long time ago. So I've forgotten how the wrestling works. Maybe that's good.
Hey, you'll be qualified for referee. The referee needs some new ones, but so that'll do it for another episode. We'll be back in a few weeks with talk of Shortcut for Top. WXWnow.com, of course, for all of these shows on demand. I'm Ian, he's Mike, and we will see you in a few weeks. Cheers.